what initially attracted you to this script, this story?
Well, Craig, this is a one of a kind. Like Aaron Brockovich, a dramatic piece of work that really gets you inside of a major problem. This got me inside of a problem and that I knew nothing about. And I don't think very many people know about the contamination of water in the Central Valley of the farmland where people are, where we get all of our food. I'd say about 70% of the produce and stuff comes from that valley. And 80% of all the almonds in the world come from that valley. When I read about it and I said, oh my goodness, what a story. I knew that one, that it had to be told, and two, that you had to be very understanding how to tell the story, because the last thing, and this was in 2018, this is before the pandemic hit, but people were really, the last thing you need to do is to do another Aaron Brockovich. That's not the way to handle the realities of what we're facing today, because it's overwhelming. And imagine we're coming out in October during the height of the pandemic. The last thing people want to see is a movie that depresses them. That's not my idea. And that was back in 2018. I said, I don't think, but now it's even worse. So, but our timing was excellent because it's a buddy movie. Fred Stern, played by David Strathairn, myself playing Santiago. He's the landowner and I'm his manager of his farm. And this is all truth. Fred Stern is a real person and Santiago is a real person, and they're living, Fred Stern passed away about, I'd say 10 months ago. But Santiago is still working there. And it's a story that brings you into a buddy story, a familial bond between two men that work together and have for 30 years. And it at the same time, it unleashes and evolves into telling you a story about the contamination done by the oil companies. And it tells you a lot about the net present value of life. And we get into it very strongly. Net present value, meaning if it costs you less than what you're making doing it, continue doing it. Now, think about what I just said. In the oil companies, any company, anywhere that's making more money than it costs them to work. If somebody sues you for the problem, continue doing it. There's actually a saying. When I learned that saying, I said, oh my God, this is crazy. I never heard of this. And so sure enough, and it's in the movie, and Martin Sheen, who plays the attorney, does a brilliant job, boy. He does a really good job of understanding. And he makes a very, very strong understanding for all the audience to see.
Absolutely. It is a very scary thought to have to communicate, but it's not a depressing film. At times, it's really kind of darkly, savagely funny. And I'm curious, what was it like?
Good words, Greg.
Oh, thank you. What was it like kind of walking this tonal tightrope? How did you figure out when to be funny, when to be more serious, when to be even like sort of suspense driven?
I think it took it on its own truth. If you stayed with the facts, if you stayed, in my aesthetic, I always put the camera where the story is. So if you stayed with the story, you understood it, and it became funny when it was supposed to be funny, and it became very understanding when it was supposed to be. And that's the outlay of the story. We worked on the script a lot. And Rob McAvity, who this was his first script ever, and he's about 26, 27-year-old. And this was his first produced script. And so him and I worked together many, many hours and for many, many days. And when we got to the set, we actually continued to work on the script. And so it was something that really evolved. And I will say that the relationship between Santiago and Fred is the key to the whole movie. And you start to feel it from the beginning, and then you really feel it as it intensifies. The only time you get a break from that dramatic intensity of the truth is when Santiago and Fred get together, and then you see and feel the you know, the truth of the situation, and the friendship and the love and the respect that they have for one another, which then permeates itself inside of the story, which is very, very difficult. It's a difficult story, Greg. I mean, people, I'm not going to believe it, but in 2020, right now, October, that water that is contaminated by the oil companies, you got to understand one thing. When the oil companies take out 1 barrel of oil from the ground, 15 barrels of water comes out with it. So what do you do with the water that comes out? Okay, that's the essence of the story. And I don't want to give anything away, but The Devil Has a Name, which opens October 16th on pay-per-view all over the country. And it's going to be on theaters too. I mean, I don't know how many theaters going to be open, maybe 4, but you know, you'll be able to see it in theater and on pay-per-view. But pay-per-view is probably how almost everything's being seen right now.
Yeah, these days especially.
Yeah.
So Santiago and Fred's relationship, their loving relationship, kind of erupts in one key scene when they fight each other, they wrestle each other, and it sort of devolves into laughter. What was it like staging this kind of peculiar scene?
Well, I tell you, everybody was waiting to see how I was going to do it, and including the actor, David, and myself. And I said, "This is going to be very easy, David. We're just going to go for it." He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "I'm going to jam you like this." And I said, "Okay, ready? You ready, Ray?" Ray Villalobos with his cameras, and he used handheld cameras. I used 2 cameras at the same time so we could capture different angles, but in close-ups, everything was. We worked when I'm working. I kind of go for the meat. I go for the main shots first, so I'm in tight from the beginning, so that all the realities are caught. And it's not like I start way far outside and then start working my way inside into the picture like many, many people do. I start on the inside and I capture it until I got it, and then once I got it, then I step back and I open it up from there. But so yeah, we got into it, and I said, "Okay, this is what I'm going to do to you. Are you rolling, Ray?" Yeah, I go, "Okay, here we go. This is what we're going to do." We went down. He goes, "Hey, everyone!" And then we rolled on the. You saw it. I mean, we rolled on the table, and we got to the end, and he's pulling. I had my hand. Well, I had my hand in his face. He had his hand in my face, and you know what happens during that period of time, and it was just hysterical, and we were dying of real laughter. I mean, the crew had to stop from laughing out loud because it would have ruined the shot, and it was beautifully. I must say to David Strathairn, who's a brilliant artist, a brilliant actor, he deserves the accolades that he's received in his lifetime. He made it really easy, man. He went with it, and man, we did it. That's how we did it. There was no, okay, we're going to rehearse the tumble scene again. Are you ready? Let's go. No, because I mean, you do it. You have to really do it. So if we're going to practice it, we're going to really do it. So why not shoot it? If we're going to do it and we're going to practice it, shoot the practice, shoot the rehearsal.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
Speaking of your aesthetic style or your style as a director, what is it like working simultaneously as a director and a leading actor? How do you direct yourself, so to speak?
Well, there's where you have to have a team. Your team is everything, and your team consists of your sound department and your cinematography department, your wardrobe department. All the different heads have to be understanding of the situation to help you get to that point. The set designer, everybody has to be working in harmony and unison, because basically, if I have to really pinpoint every single little aspect of it, I couldn't do it. It'd be overwhelming. So I get people that I've worked with before. Ray, I've done quite a few films with Ray Villalobos, the cinematographer. He did he's done brilliant work and continues to do that even today. And he's in his 80s now. And I will say that he and I worked together very, very well. We were constantly in each other's ear. And so it was understanding and allowing growth around you. And that takes a security within myself to trust. And I trust the people that I'm working with. So in my sound department, I said, did you get it? Yeah. Okay. They got it. Okay. I'm not listening to the sound when it's happening and it's, oh, I heard something. Wait a minute. Or, like other people are watching it on the monitor and say, wait a minute. Oh, you see how that happened? We got to do that over again and do this. Okay. I can't do that. So what we do is that we do the scene and then we do have playback. And I immediately after the scene is done, I go to the machines and I do it quickly because it takes up too much time if you don't really know what you're doing. And so you're seeing the scene that you're doing. Not only do you do it, and then you have to see it again. So that time you need, with only 6 weeks of time to shoot the movie, you have to do everything succinctly. So basically, that's what we did. I would watch the thing and say, okay, let's do it one more time. This time, Ray, pull yourself around a little bit more. Make sure that you grab the, this and this and do whatever. And but he was way ahead of me, man. I mean, he was getting stuff. I'd say, man, Ray, that was beautiful. Thank you, Ray. You made me look great.
One thing I really love about your character, Santiago, we only get like little hints of it. His sort of revolutionary, even anarchist-leaning politics. How would you describe his political leanings, and how much of that is personal to you?
Well, no, it was him. I mean, Santiago's a real person, and
Yeah.
he really is a person who is, he believes in Fred Stern, played by David Strathairn, is the owner of the farm, but Santiago really runs it. I mean, for 30 years, he is really the person who produces everything that's done on the farm, even though Fred knows what he's doing and participates in the understanding, and they work together to produce all the almonds that they produce. And 80% of all the almonds in the world come from that region. And it's a huge farm that they have. And so he is very, very anarchistic. He doesn't believe in outside governing of the inside situation, which is what anarchism really is at a whole. They don't believe in having, Washington, D.C. tell, Bakersfield how to live, they want to live on. So, that's his format and his understanding. So, and that perspective, I found it to be hysterical because Fred, he throws it in his face as many times as he possibly can, and I thought it was just perfect. I loved it because, Santiago doesn't care. Call me anything you want to call me. I don't care. I'm going to have my ideals and you have yours, and too much, good luck. And so he was constantly fighting each other, and it made for great humor. And inside of a story like this, it's really needed. I mean, the last thing you want to do is put anybody through an Aaron Brockovich right now. I mean, forget it, man. That isn't enough reality already. Okay, we get that nightly news. Fake news has us going everywhere, so don't worry about a thing, right? So basically, I think it's the timing for this movie and what it's saying and people understanding and digesting it couldn't be better. And I think people are going to be very interested. I think they're going to do their research and find out as much as they can about the situation because it's their food chain.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's all the time I have. Thanks so much, Edward. Great talking with you.
Thank you very much, Greg. Thank you so much for your interest in bringing this to the people.